I needed was enough you gave.
All I needed was another day.
And all I ever knew.
Only you. That is a banger. That is a banger.
Yeah, who sang that again?
Kazoo.
Did they have any other
Kazoo,
songs?
yeah, you can.
Kazoo, yeah, you can.
Did they have any Did they have any other songs?
I think they slightly did, but none that also made it to a Coke advert, so they don't matter anymore.
So they got to be up there with like best one-hit wonders of all time.
I don't think they count as a one-hit wonder because they had other bangers. It's just they've been
did they?
lost in the sands of time.
Okay, I'd have to take your word for it.
Do it.
This
Good.
And
terribly episode 22.
What it do?
Someone told me this week that if you get to 20 plus episodes as podcasters, you're in the top 1%.
I swear.
elite.
So, you know.
Another thing that I have achieved top
Yeah,
echelon
just
status
the
at in
achievements.
my life.
The awards keep coming. I don't know. I didn't do the stats, but given how many
Is that true, do you think?
podcasts are around, that seems a bit strange, right?
I wonder how many, if given how many people have a podcast of 20 plus, how many fucking people start and then give up, right?
Yeah,
It's
I think
pretty
that's
mad,
more.
man.
Yeah, that's for me, and that makes sense when you think about it from that angle. It makes more sense because some people jump into this podcasting thing and then because it sounds great to do. You listen to a podcast and you're like, that seems easy.
That seems cool,
But
that
then
seems
you
fun.
do it and you're like, oh shit.
It's actually a
you
fucking
actually got to come up
move.
with stuff to talk about regularly. And sometimes people do it for like personal journeys. So they'll create a podcast because their marriage is broken up at the same time as their job change at the same time as they've relocated to Brighton from London.
Yeah.
And they feel like everyone wants to hear that story.
Also, sometimes-
But then they realize that's not really got much mileage.
Sometimes they're also just fucking shit.
Yes, there's
Sometimes
several.
just fucking shit. The amount of times I've
Plentiful.
told people, oh yeah, I got a podcast, and they're like, oh yeah, no, I did a podcast as well. And it's like these Fiat 500 white girls
Yeah.
who were just talking about their hinge dates, and then
Yeah.
they got to 13 episodes and no one gave a shit, so they tinned it.
Yeah,
That
that's
could be quite good though. Just
What?
talking about hinge dates.
Yeah. That's quite a popular format, right? There's plenty of dating related podcasts, but it still has to be good content.
yeah.
I don't know. There was that.
We still need to untap like your Hinge Chronicles, to be honest.
Whoa.
That's what,
Like,
I'm saying. That's what I was trying to lead to.
yeah, we need that.
I'm pleading.
I think I've been like lobbying for that since like episode 2.
I'm pleading the Cinco.
I hear you, but like, what does that do for our viewership,
We don't have viewers; it's an audio podcast.
listenership?
Pleading the Cinco.
They're thankful for less than average stories not being divulged.
Johnny, talk to us about your tan, man. Welcome back.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yes, there's a visible difference. When I first got to Spain, when I first got to Mallorca, I'd like go and chat to people in Spanish, or at least when I walk up to a bar, they'd automatically speak to me in English because I was looking hella gringo. And then by the end of the first week, I'd turn up to a bar and they'd start speaking to me in Spanish because I stopped looking so Ingles. But yeah, man, it was gorgeous out there.
You did your bit to like hang on to your English solidarity with that whole German thing.
Yeah, that was
You
mad.
I don't know. I don't know if anybody's ever said the word the Germans that many times.
The Germans
in that little time.
Not least surrounded by so many of the Germans. Whilst
What you got against Germans, buddy?
well, I got nothing against them. It was just it was more of a cultural documentary piece.
Okay.
So if anyone who hasn't seen, I was at the Bierkönig in
Okay.
Ballermann. Ballermann is actually apparently the German Magaluf. In Mallorca,
Okay.
in typisch deutsches fashion,
Yeah.
much nicer, much cleaner,
Yeah.
and much more sound than the British Magaluf, which I did visit and is a proper shithole.
Yeah.
So yeah, went to Ballermann, met some friends who were out there, and got absolutely fucking turned up in a German beer hall. So the deal of a German beer hall is you sit down, listen to German songs. They all know the fucking words. They all know the words. It's very, very strange, and it's a different
German version of Sweet Caroline.
So this is the
shit.
thing, right? So like, at least when you go out and like you get better with the Brits, you eventually start doing Angels by Robbie Williams.
Yeah.
You start doing a couple Westlife
They love a
numbers.
bit of Angels,
They,
surely.
they do. So
Yeah, I know that.
they also do
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah.
So you couple the standards, Boyzone and all that. There's a couple classic bangers. Yeah,
What's that Donny from Baywatch?
David Hasselhoff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he must have been belting out some Hasselhoff.
Probably,
tunes.
I don't know. Anyway, the Germans don't do them kind of nice.
stand in the darkness. That's
There you
Baywatch,
go,
right? That's
there you
Baywatch,
go,
right?
There you go.
They don't do the nice sing-along vibes, yeah? So I imagine I've come out of the toilet and I've like joined this other table of lads who are chatting. We're all having a chat mid-conversation, we're talking about football or some shit, and like this song comes on in mid-sentence, these brothers just start going, propeller, Propeller, ich schneller, schneller, schneller. Propeller, Propeller, ich schneller, schneller, schneller.
Scary.
And apparently there's some fucking song where it's like Helicopter 117 or some shit, and they're all fucking cracking on. So it's not like nice sing-along, Sweet Caroline, Hey Jude vibes. It's like intense military shtick, which, you know, that's probably a topic that we shouldn't get into. But it's a German documentary.
When you say military, it's like what, EDM-y kind of music?
Yeah, kind of. Well, no, it's like pop club house bangers, basically.
Yeah.
One after one after one after one. It was very bizarre.
Yeah.
They all know every word. It's very intense. It's a culture that I learned something about. I was pleased to share my eye into the window of Deutschland.
So you had a good time?
Had a very good time. Had a very
Yes.
good time. My tan is actually so good. I got packed off with the Arabs on arrival at Stansted.
Wow.
They didn't let me through the British queue. So I now care about colorism. I now care about racism, having experienced it as a tanned man.
Yeah.
So
Welcome.
It's
yeah,
got all the lived experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
yeah. Black Lives Matter and that, innit?
Yeah. Tommy, what are you saying?
Stop booing them taking a knee now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I get the struggle.
I'm a clap.
Yeah.
I too,
I get it.
I too
get it.
clapped for Bukayo Saka.
Oh, God, the top. Tommy, walk on.
Good. It's been a
you
quiet
saying?
couple of weeks for me, to be honest. Head down, been busy with work.
Oh, yeah?
And other bits and pieces, so not a huge amount to report. Everyone's on holiday as well, right?
Yeah, man.
So I'm not.
Noticeably quieter
Yeah,
everywhere.
So it's a little quieter, and not a huge amount to report.
Good.
How about you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I can't complain. I went to the Dolphin last night in Hackney for the first time
Old school.
in probably a decade.
If you know,
maybe
you know.
even more. If you know, you know. Gentrification is real, ladies and gentlemen. It's mad in there. But yeah, no, trying to enjoy the sun.
Dolphins a bar?
Yeah,
I don't know. So.
It used to be like a real end of the night dive pub.
Okay.
Which had some of the wildest, most crazy characters loitering.
Like a lock-in.
Yeah.
Post-club.
Think Infernos, but without Jack Will's clothing.
Exactly. And
No Abercrombie, yeah?
None.
they've patterned up since the gentrification of the surrounding area. So it's had a bit of a rebrand. But it's still associated with what it was. It's called the Dolphin. Yeah, that was what I did last night. Enjoyed the sun
Any
during
good?
the day. It was good. Had some good times with my brothers and friends. Football season is here.
Let's go, baby.
Talk about back again.
Back again.
Yes.
So yeah, I was watching some of the football this weekend. Shout out my Arsenal fans, Wagwan.
Buzzing over that
You know
result.
what I mean?
Just
Johnny shouldn't laugh too hard.
Yes.
On day of recording, his team is probably about to get packed in.
Yeah, we're recording this on a Sunday. Can you people imagine? Yeah, I've waited 10 years. 10 years
10 years.
for a season tickets. I finally get my hands on 2. And I cannot attend for quarantine.
Shit. Can you imagine, like, if... but Johnny,
right,
real
you would have
talk,
been at the game.
I would have been at the
Yeah,
game
yeah.
today, this afternoon.
this could be Harry Kane's last game as well, and he
it
could
is
have been
last
there.
game.
He's not playing. He's not playing. Anyway,
It
I've
is his last
had
game.
to give my tickets away.
Who did you give them to?
My brother's going. So I bought a pair. One's my brother, and then Northern Jim. Shout out Northern Jim, who's actually a City fan. Is going to go with my brother.
Guys, big news. Britney Spears is free.
Dominic Cummings' campaign has worked.
She's free.
Is she actually though?
Free-ish.
I don't know if she actually is.
She's on the pathway to free.
Yeah,
Okay.
so Britney Spears' father has agreed to step down as the singer's conservator,
He's tapped out basically now.
pledging to participate in an orderly transition to a new legal arrangement. It seems to me that he is just moving away from being the face of the conservatorship and not necessarily giving up the conservatorship altogether. There doesn't seem to be any real legal grounds or any real justification for him to move aside. But TMZ reported this week that apparently that process has already begun. So to the Britney fans out there, don't know how this is going to change your life, but your baby's free.
She's certainly at least somewhere on the road to Bobby Schmurda status.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
The more and more I see Britney Spears videos on Instagram, the more and more I think she probably needs this conservatorship to stay in place.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm
She
joking.
moving
I'm joking.
mad.
I'm going to get hotted up for that comment.
moving
I
mad.
can't do that. I can't do that.
'Cause
But she's
realistically,
looking a bit crazy on
This
online, I'm
guy.
not
This
gonna lie.
guy is. I think this is just like strong PR for him, basically, because like you said, there isn't legal grounds to have him removed.
He's just getting paid off, surely.
No, not even. So he apparently his lawyers have contested the request to get him removed, and they were like, "Yeah, basically, there's no grounds for us to be removed, so we're asking you to deny this request, but we've decided that we're gonna go kind of thing. So it's
Right.
like one of them, you can't fire me, I'm leaving.
Yeah. I think
So
yeah.
so he was like, I'm gonna like he said he's gonna step aside, but he hasn't set a timeline, he
Yeah.
hasn't stated when, and nothing like that. He was just like, all right, cool. The pressure's got
Yeah,
too much,
man.
public pressure's
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of worked.
Death
and he's
threats.
like, yeah, cool. I'm gonna do it.
Holy shit.
But the judge can't force me to do it because there's no legal grounds.
Yeah.
So we're gonna push back against that. But after we win that, then I'm gonna go in my own kind of orderly transition.
Yeah.
Okay.
So who knows what that fucking means? That means he could still be there for another 2 or 3 years. Who knows, right? It's not the legal process that's kicking him out. It's
Yeah.
him still just wanting to bounce.
So basically, it's the Britney Bill Cosby collab album coming out
Don't know.
sometimes.
Don't know. I'll buy it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Would you not?
I'd listen. I'd listen
where,
to your
where
copy.
she sings and he like ad libs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Bobby's just laying.
Bill Cosby.
Bobby
ad-libs would be
Schmurder's just
funny.
laying bars all over the place. Can you imagine Bill Cosby
Yeah.
bugging out over a Bobby Schmurder flow?
Yeah.
Fam?
That's crazy.
So Bill
So, yeah,
Cosby's
free-
out as well.
He's
right?
out, man. He's out. He's free.
out.
White boy
fucked.
summer.
That's fucked.
Why not?
No. We've done the race draft. You lot can keep Bill Cosby.
Shout out to everybody who received their GCSE and A-level results
Mabruk.
over the last couple of weeks. You guys know anyone who was receiving those?
No.
Cool. Well, we got record passes and top grades all across England, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
They're just giving grades out.
It's
now.
Bookie, it's
Top
Bookie.
grades, 7As and above, rose to 28.9% from 26%
one in
last
five.
year.
Gas.
While grades 4, Cs and above, seen as passes, rose to 77.1% from 76%.
That's good.
So year on year, we are seeing these results rise. In the case of the A level, there was a little bit more contention, and the reason why overall the grades conversation you may have heard is hotting up is because there is a belief, because of what happened during the pandemic, where the marking of exams went down to essentially teachers grading their students, that there is unfortunately a cheapening, I guess you could say, of the overall value of these A-level grades as people are transitioning or moving on to higher education. I want to start by saying congratulations to everybody who has worked hard through this pandemic over the last 18 months. It's been super, super difficult having to transition from in-person teaching to virtual teaching, sparing a thought out to those people who were disadvantaged as well, because, you know, for all of us who have got laptops and iPads and all of that stuff at home, spare a thought for the people who had to make this change and pivot to this craziness, not having the means to do that privately with their own computers and stuff at home. So it's a little bit sad to hear people's grades and stuff like that being discredited in the way they are, given the context that we've been in. But what do you guys think? Do you think that we should be worried about where grades are going at the moment? Do you think that this is all just becoming a little bit of a ruse to make our overall academic success seem a lot higher than it is in comparison to our neighboring countries? What do you think?
I saw a headline that said something like 48% of students achieved like A or A stars or something like that, which is like on the face
Surely
of it,
that
a madness, yeah. And it kind of like
defeats the purpose.
and that's where I'm going with the whole thing, right? It defeats if everyone's like getting passing grade. I mean, the thing is, ultimately, you can't be begrudging people doing well, right?
Yeah.
But I think
I
part of the reason that you take exams and stuff is to create some level of differentiation between students, right?
Yeah.
So then, if 50% of your student base, or what was the stat? Let's go with the stat you said. You said 25% achieved what, A or A stars.
Yeah, exactly.
So going off that stat, right? If you're let's assume all these kids want to go to university, and if you're a kind of a more elite university, how are you then going to start differentiating between students who all have A stars or all have A's, right? And it can't just be off the strength of a personal statement, right?
Yeah.
It's 500 words on why you want to come here or some bullshit like
Yeah.
this, and your grades, right? And then that's when you start hearing these horror stories of, oh, my daughter, my son, my brother, whatever, got 11 A stars and got rejected from 5 universities, right? It's because if everyone's getting the same grades, then we need to find a new way of differentiating, right? Between students, and that's the only place that I think it's potentially hazardous. Apart from that, though, fucking great work for everyone else, right? Put it on the CV, move on.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's just a game, right? It's a game of life. Try to get the best marks you can, go to the next exam, get the best marks you can. A-levels, GCSE, A-levels, uni, and just keep like accumulating these brands on your CV, I guess.
I think we should. I really like the model of education that they have in the Hunger Games, where you actually just make children fight each other for survival.
Have you seen that Japanese one of that? I can't remember what it's called now.
Takeshi's Castle.
No. No, it's like the original Hunger Games where they sent to the island.
Famous book.
And they're all given different weapons. They're all given one weapon each that's drawn at random.
Battle Royale.
Battle Royale.
Yeah.
So that's what you're alluding to,
That's an education system that I'm a lot more
you can subscribe to.
aligned with. Yeah, I mean, like fundamentally, who gives a shit about osmosis unless you're going to become a doctor?
Pythagorean theorem.
Yeah, what you find out later in life is it's much more useful to know how to nank ops and bang man in the face than it is the subjunctive tense in French. It's a useless skill.
Agreed.
I think, look, for all these kids who are really worried about their exams and feel the pressure of maintaining their grades, etc., etc. I failed my exams, and I fucking hate my life. So you should be terrified of not getting good results, because it leaves you in a really fucked position later on in life. I think the only genuine incentive to do well at school is to not getting beaten up by your parents.
Yeah.
So, you know, if
that threat doesn't exist anymore.
Well, I don't know if your dad.
Maybe when we were growing up.
Well, this is the thing. If your dad's large and foreign, then yeah, probably
no,
there's,
but I'm saying
there's a risk. Yeah.
Today's woke culture.
Yeah, I don't know. I
don't think parents can beat children.
Yeah, I don't think you can say that to. Not,
Right.
certainly not Latino dads anyway. I don't think they're going to listen to that.
That's what I'm saying. Back in our day, I think. This is what I'm saying.
You're taking me to social services.
For what?
Let them take you.
Literally. You'll be back, oh.
You will be back, oh.
I've got a warped view. Just seeking serious. I've got a warped view.
Our
of this
anti-education correspondent, Johnny Vivas, has entered the chat.
One quick thing that we should mention is we should give a shout out to the Education Secretary, Gavin Williamson. Big shout out to my G, because he couldn't remember what he got in his A-levels. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
He got exposed. He was doing an LBC thing, yeah? And they were like, yeah, all right, so what was your A-levels? And he was like, I can't remember.
How old is he?
He's not that old, but everyone remembers their A-levels.
Yeah, of course.
So he was chatting shit. He just basically didn't want to say
remembers their
what he
A-level
got, because obviously it'll lead to further questions of how did you get 3 C's and get into Oxford or whatever, right? So like, I don't know if that's where he went. I'm
Probably.
just assuming.
Safe bet.
But yeah, so he dodged that. So shout out to everyone who's going to be dodging them kind of questions.
Shout out, as typical. This is Tommy's weekly shout out to the Conservative Party section, but. I have a very warped view of this whole education shtick for obvious reasons. I did flop my A-levels. I didn't get into university.
What's a flop? What did you get?
I got a B in business studies.
I did that, yeah.
For which my bar mitzvah was revoked. I got a B in history, which is also quite ridiculous.
Wait, is this a flop?
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to be given back, by the way. If your bar mitzvah's been revoked,
Yeah.
But hang on, he just said 2 Bs and apparently he flopped. Carry on.
I got a C in French, which is a language I speak fluently.
Okay.
So yeah, I didn't get into any of the universities I wanted to. I remember
Wait.
BBC is not a flop,
Wait,
though.
I don't know what you're talking about, Johnny.
Yeah,
like,
BBC
BBC is not a flop.
Yeah, and when you're as naturally gifted as I am, it's not great, right?
Clearly not. But anyway.
evidently.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember calling up Cardiff University through clearing and like speaking to the French professor and like having literally.
Is that what you wanted to do, French?
At that point, I was going to do anything. I thought I was going to get fucking slapped by my mum, bro. So I would have taken any fucking course. I would have done Latin or some shit. Fuck knows. And I remember speaking to her on the phone in French.
Okay.
Being like, listen, I know I've clearly flopped the exams, but you can tell I speak French. She was like, well, look, you got to see on the piece of paper. I can't help you. So I was like, haram. Yeah.
Even through clearing?
Yeah, I didn't get anywhere through clearing.
Yikes.
Didn't get anywhere
You obviously
through
weren't
clearing.
doing it right, because 2 Bs and a C, you'll get into 50% of unis in the country.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I did always say, like, if I didn't get anywhere decent, I wasn't going to go. I didn't want to go.
You'll get into a top 20 university.
No, I didn't get into any top 20 university.
You go to York.
That's
bro.
crazy, bro.
Yeah, I didn't get into any of them. So anyway, so then I was like, do I redo my A-levels? I was like, I fucking hated education. I was kicked out of school. Ended up back in Hackney College. Fucking hated it. Hated education. I was just fucking pointless. So my mum got me a job at Hackney Community College, and then it's a very long story, but I spilled my way into a job at Bloomberg at 18. But although most people won't have the experience that I had, being very lucky to get a job at a major global corporation at the age of 18, the people who I know who are actually doing the best with themselves from Stoke Newington, from Hackney, from Clapton, the people who left school at 16. Or who left school at 18 and went and got a job early.
What's that? What do they do?
Well,
when you say got a job early, what kind of things do they do?
So they're either working on site, or they started off, for example, in accountancy jobs, working as apprentices, and then working their way up through the corporate
professional
route.
Qualifications.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to like uni.
As opposed to going to university, right? And so that route not only instills a work ethic, which I think that you are late coming to if you go and get on the sesh for 3 years.
For sure.
But it gives you a better understanding of the value of money. It gives you more impetus to move out, to be more independent, because your necessity to earn and your understanding of the job market has a 3-year head start on all of your peers who go and basically go on the piss and catch venereal diseases at Imperial for 3 years.
Done now.
Guilty. I'm a big believer in apprenticeships, and a big believer in, if you don't like studying, you don't like going to school, don't go to university. Go and get a job.
There's a snobbery though, right? That exists across most of the attractive industries that most graduates want to go into, finance, etc., etc. They start at the degree, ultimately, and then they look at the university. When do you think we're going to get to a point
where they start there? I think they'd start the opposite way around. They look at the university, then they look at the degree.
Well, yeah. However, which way you want to look at it, but that's my point, right? They still look at the university degree as being a benchmark to even open up conversations.
Oh, yeah.
I interview people at work, and even though I don't do the first round stuff, and I don't submit or admit people based on their CVs, it's apparent that this snobbery still exists.
100%.
You speak about apprenticeships and all of that stuff, but people typically just want creme de la creme.
Yeah,
and the way that they make sense of that is by saying, as you say, the universities that they look at and the grades that they achieve there. When do you think we're going to move away from that as being the status quo? Because people, I agree with you with what you're alluding to. Companies are essentially losing out on a lot of people because of the way that they view what constitutes a potentially great worker.
I think that stuff's changing.
Yeah.
So we've seen global policy changes by these multinationals like Deloitte and Google and these guys all dropping the need for a university degree for the graduate schemes now, right? So there's obviously the great majority of companies still require you to have degrees and all the rest of it, but you can clearly see the trend is moving away from that, right? So there's I think 2 of the big 4, basically from the accounting world, don't require a university degree now. For
I didn't know that.
I think Google have also dropped it for the graduate scheme. If you're going in for an experienced hire role, they may still require it and stuff.
Which is mad, by the way.
But for the bait kind of like traditional graduate entry route, like large companies have started. If you ask me to guess, I'd guess like 15% maybe of the top FTSE 100 companies would have dropped that requirement by now.
Yeah.
So when does it change? So it's changing.
It's changing.
It's changing, but it changes when there's more explicit support for apprenticeship schemes from the government. There's these kinds of policies.
But when did we become so obsessed with the degree stuff? Because
Tony Blair.
You mentioned,
that's
okay. Maybe that's the answer. Because before that, you'd have loads of stories like Johnny's, right? With people who started even younger, who didn't go to college.
The city is built on people who left Essex at 16 and started buying sandwiches and desks.
So when did that change? So you're saying Tony Blair era?
Yeah, and it's like this is like an unintended consequence,
correct?
Right? It's not bad. Like his intentions at the beginning weren't a bad thing. It was like not enough people.
Everyone should have the chance to go to university.
It's not enough people are going to university. Yeah. We need to make it easier for people to get to university.
Yeah.
That was like where they started, and we've got to a point where I guess you can argue the overwhelming success of what they set up, followed by various other governments after them or whatever. The success of this push has led to whatever the number is, 80% of people now trying to get into university. And the question is, have we gone too far is the thing.
So the unintended consequence of sending everyone to university was you basically created a funneled snobbery where only selective universities became desirable. So this happened to me when I was working at a previous bank. I was part of the interviewing process. And it was a 2-page form. You had to spend half an hour reading about the candidate's background, half an hour, 40 minutes interviewing them, and 20 minutes filling out the form afterwards. But in the top right-hand corner of this 2-page form was just the candidate's university.
Wild.
So I went to HR and I said, why have you got that there? And they said, well, it's part of the filtering process, part of the screening. I said, look, don't waste an hour plus of my time getting to know and interviewing a candidate if you're literally just going to tin them because they didn't go to the LSE,
Literally.
or they didn't go to Oxford, they didn't go to Cambridge.
Imperial.
That's a waste
Can
of time.
you mention Imperial when you talk about these big universities as well? Can you pay us some respect?
It's a given.
Come on, bro.
Europa League unis, bro.
What do you mean, like, bin them after? So they'd
So
get
the
you to
screening
interview them
process,
first?
yeah, they get us to
What's the
interview
point
them
of interviewing them then?
because at least they said they've given it.
Yeah.
They said they've
Oh,
tried.
so it's like an equality to like equal
So
opportunity.
I went to HR and I said, look, don't waste my time doing this if you're just going to pick people from 3 universities. And they came back and they said some bullshit along the lines of, you should know it's our most diverse training group ever. We have got an exact 50% balance of boys and girls. I said, all right, so you've somewhat just about matched the genetic makeup of the planet. Mazel tov. That doesn't make you particularly diverse. You're basically doing the bare minimum. I'm sure you've got no data on the backgrounds, the socioeconomic, let alone racial, whatever. I'm not buying the diversity. Don't make me do it. So they didn't. They actually never asked me to do another
I
interview
push
again.
back on a lot of stuff that Johnny says about like, oh, the government should do this, the government should do that, and like the answer to the apprentice thing was, oh, maybe the government, blah blah blah. But like, this is like also an example of companies trying to adhere essentially and then it falling through. The only reason she came back to you or he came back to you, whoever it was from HR, and said, oh, we got 50-50 guy-girl split, male-female split, is because now these companies in the city have to reveal gender ratio data, basically. So as a result, that kind of trickles down the hiring and blah, 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 then resulting to a retort like, but we're diverse.
But it's not particularly diverse if you've got 50% of boys and girls all from Oxford, Cambridge and the LSE.
Sure, but the idea is like, for them, the diversity, for them, on a macro, the diversity is essentially a box ticking thing, right? We're
Some
going
boys
through,
and some girls.
We're going through this process. We need to have the X number of boxes ticked, right? And one of the boxes now that the government is kind of semi-forcing us, and the social media and public pressure is somewhat forcing us, is on this diversity thing. The easiest diversity thing to start off with is this boys and girls thing. So let's just remedy that. So she'll come back to you and say, 50%.
So circling back to what I was asking about, when did this snobbery start, and when do we think that companies are going to start looking at this stuff less? If that is to be the case, and if like companies are already showing signs of not really caring as much about university degrees or institutions that you studied at, do you think that we are now entering an era where the overall attractiveness of a degree is reaching a lower point? Or do we think we're going to reach a point where only the most valuable medical related, engineering related degrees are actually worth going to university for, and everything else is just like,
I think I've noticed a change in 10 years. So you remember when we met at the company that we met each other when we were both working, people couldn't really believe that I hadn't gone to university when we started on our first day, almost 9th of Jan 2012, almost 10 years. People couldn't believe, it was like bizarre. This kid stand up and he's not got a degree.
Johnny Vivas, like 17 years old, trying to move to all these like 27-year-old women.
But that's not even the thing.
They're impressed by his chat, but as soon as he drops his age, they're like,
not even that impressed with the chat. But realistically, the mad thing was, it's also a comparative thing, right? So they were also shocked because there'd be people who stand up and he's like, I'm currently just like doing a part-time PhD in mathematics. And then someone else is like, I did a banking and finance masters. Do you know what I mean? So everyone's trying to floss. I went to Bocconi and all this kind of shit.
Mad Bocconi, bro.
Yeah, so everyone's out there trying to floss, like, this is where I went, this is what I studied. I did banking. And then there was like,
Johnny stands up, he's like, I'm from Hackney Community College.
But then there'll be like half of the class that basically didn't study finance, but still went to like good university.
Yeah, did biology at Cambridge.
Yeah, so then they'd like sit back on that, basically. Okay, fine. I didn't do the finance thing like this brer at LSE or whatever. But I did biology at Cambridge. But then, so it's a comparative thing that made them shocked.
So the point I was making is that 10 years ago, it was very bizarre that I didn't have a degree. But now when I talk to people, now I'm a bit more experienced, I guess. I've got a track record, I've got a career track. People don't ask me about my degree. But if people ask where I study and I tell them I didn't go to university, it's a lot more common to hear people say something like, fucking waste of time.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
Nobody said that 10 years ago.
I've got Nigerian parents. That's the only reason why I went uni. I'll be honest. I was not on it.
Why were you not on it?
Because I just felt like my interest in like higher education had peaked after college.
So then what did you want to do? You wanted to like join the workforce or what?
Yeah, I just wanted to figure it out. Wanted to potentially travel. Wanted to potentially like do some stuff.
Travel.
And one of them ones, innit?
Yeah.
You know, just figure it out. Just figure it out. I had
Did you have that conversation with your parents where you asked for a gap year?
It was a very short conversation.
Did you muster up the courage to have that conversation?
It was probably one of the quickest conversations I ever had with my parents. But then at the time,
Gap year? You get a job in retail selling clothes.
I just didn't know what I wanted to do, right? Like, I just knew I wanted to work. I wanted to travel. I kind of just wanted to be a little bit free. Because, yeah, man, like, it goes without saying, anybody who knows Nigerian parents or African parents or whatever know that's just like, it's very, very strict standards of education you have to uphold for all of your life. And that's exhausting. So I got to a point after my college, I got really good after getting good A-levels. So I was just like, all right, cool, I'm a bit tapped out. And I'd obviously applied to like 6 universities, Imperial being one of them. I didn't really look too tough at rankings and stuff like that. But it was only
when your second choice if you didn't go there?
So I applied for Imperial, King's, Royal Holloway, Kingston, Brunel, and God, who's the 6th? I can't remember the 6th, but I got into 5 out of 6. Kings are the ones that rejected me for whatever reason. I was either going to do marketing or business.
Okay.
Right?
But you know when you ask, are you really, really from the ends? Man went to 5 London unis.
Yeah, it was going to be...
Holloway.
That's a
Bro,
Sheffield.
but that's,
Yeah. Whole Sheffield,
but that's what I'm saying, bro. I was so like not on the idea of going to university. If I was going to have to go, it was going to be close. You know what I mean? I was just wanted it to be as convenient as possible.
Nottingham, that's not
We
me.
got sold a dream with Imperial. I had no idea we were going to be off ends.
Oh, you didn't know?
Oh my God, bruv. Like when oh my Lord. I didn't go to visit it, right?
Oh,
so I just got in. So the first time I went was when my mum drove me on the day.
drop you off.
So as we were going,
You put it into Tom
This ain't South Kent.
this is not South Kent, literally. Yeah. And I was just like, this is a fucking village. Like, what is going on? Like, but yeah, I didn't want to go and all of that, but it's I don't even know what the point I was making before.
I knew it was a village.
Yeah.
I knew it was a village, but still, like, I think I knew early on that it's just a brand building game. Right?
Yeah.
You're just trying to get into the best university you can.
Yeah.
And even
that's it.
what you're studying almost doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It's
that's my
secondary.
point, and that was my point, right? Like, I didn't know what I was getting into when I was applying, but what I will say is, I'm so glad that my sister rung me by the neck and was like, "You're going to Imperial if you've got in," because yeah, it probably has set me up in ways that I didn't really see. Unfair or not, it's probably set me up in ways that I didn't really foresee at the time.
You should
But
have
having
foreseen
said that,
it was bait.
yeah, I didn't really look at it that much again because I just wasn't on it. But to Johnny's point, you know, when I do hear stories about people who didn't go to university, I'm like, good on you, man. Like, I get a little bit jealous because I didn't really want to do it myself.
My biggest
But having
flex-
said that,
Don't know about
university,
good on you.
our 3 years at university were fucking amazing. Like, I met some great people.
But I don't know about good on you though. I think the university thing still has some value. Like the problem is, I was very much on the no value thing, right? Like what you were saying, Johnny. But like realistically, at the same time, you can look. All right, university's gone to $9,000, super expensive. Is it worth it? Rah, rah, rah. But at the same time, if you look at the States and the relative cost there and the number of people who still attend university,
Mad one.
So I think we haven't reached the top. I think the universities, when they look at this as their business and they look, can we drive more revenue by increasing tuition fees? The answer, I think, is yes. I think there's still, I think the way they look at it and the way even I look at it, there's still probably capacity for them to raise their fees and still have people attending. That's the issue.
My biggest flex is that I've never had to pay off a student loan. So all of my income was tax-free, baby.
Yeah, but the student loan thing is a minor.
10 grand a year is a mad one. I was the
Don't
last
worry
year
about
of 3 grand a year, and I might have had my arm twisted to turn up at fucking Aberystwyth or Hull or some shit.
We were the first year at 3 grand a
So
year.
I was the last. So 10 grand a year? No thanks. No trade. I'll go get a job.
But yeah, good talk. Congratulations to everybody who got their grades and stuff.
Mazel tov.
Don't let them tell you that the traditional education system is the only way for you to achieve what you want to
Absolutely
achieve.
Bun the
I
University
think,
of
yeah,
Exeter.
exactly. I think that's University of Exeter.
Yeah,
I can't say that, bro.
I
Is
got
that what you
rejected.
went?
I got rejected. What do you mean is that way? We
not-
went together, bro.
Sorry, not where you went. When was not what I meant to say. Applied. Is
They
that what you
buoyed me. They
applied?
buoyed
Yeah.
me. They were like one of 2 universities that buoyed me.
I went to
The other was Edinburgh, but I didn't take that personally. But they'd leave.
Feel you. Okay.
I went to the University of Life. A man got 2-2.
Yeah. On a
The Desmond.
the Desmond.
The Desmond.
On a more somber note, we probably just got to get this out. We have to spare a thought and send our prayers and well wishes to the people of Plymouth, who obviously this week went through one of the most disgusting, high-profile mass shootings that the UK has actually seen in its history. Similar to Dunblane, similar to Hungerford, similar to the more recent one with that guy in Cumbria, right, near Newcastle, wherever it was. This lad, Jake Davison, essentially went on a rampage and killed 5 people, including I believe, a 3-year-old kid and her father. He killed his own mother and 2 other people. It's horrible news that we have to cover. We're a news podcast. This guy, this troubled young man, I'm not sure if you man have heard of incels.
I've never heard of that.
What are they called?
Involuntary celibates.
Involuntary celibates. Now,
Okay.
It's
yeah,
mad chat.
it's
Tell me more.
Very mad chat.
So, background. This guy was known on the internet, or had somewhat of a profile on the internet. And we're not going to stay on this for too long. Had somewhat of a profile on the internet for uploading videos where he was essentially getting more and more manic and upset about the way his life was going.
Okay.
I didn't make much of that because the incel thing is a new phenomenon for me. But apparently this is part of a much wider movement, which is basically online. It's a subculture online that has a community of men
Okay.
who, they're essentially men who feel vengeful towards women because they fail to forge sexual relationships with them.
Vengeful.
They're convinced that they are the victims of society and that society is rigged in favor of women and is against men. But in that is their inability to attract women that they link to their overall success as humans. So they develop this really, really odd hatred, and they come together and they speak about it. The sickest thing that I read this week about this lad is that in these forums online, there were incels, fellow incels, that were disappointed in what they called this lad's score. So they gave him a score, which is essentially the number of people that he killed. And they said they were disappointed that it wasn't higher. So we're not talking about very normal.
So this was discussed.
People.
So
Yeah.
Or they,
So post-
like they were talking about like him going on the shooting spree.
So I don't know if it happened. I don't know if they were leading up to it, but in the aftermath
So-
of it, these forums, people were like, his score, given what we stand for, should have been higher.
there's
He should
the-
have killed more people
So it's
for
not
this subculture.
in this subculture.
Yeah.
So it's not a very long bridge between the two sides of the river that separates kind of online white supremacist culture and this online incel culture. So the online incel culture is driven by a sense of male supremacy,
Okay.
whose followers often share characteristics of white supremacy, in that there's plenty of recorded evidence that a Venn diagram overlaps quite strongly between these two online subcultures. So this is the first instance of a killing like this in this country. I've not particularly been following this story because I've been abroad, but you might remember at the beginning of last year, early 2020, there was a bloke in Canada who did the same thing. There was a mass shooting in Canada who was an incel, and he said that it was him. And it's a similar type. So when you were talking about the discussion online, that the guy in New Zealand who killed a bunch of people last year.
Are they all murder suicides? These men. Do they all take them? Like is
So
it a subculture thing? The whole thing is you take your life at the end.
No, that's not.
Right.
The guy in Canada, I think, got done by coppers. Can't quite remember, but that was definitely a thing. And basically, the idea is that these type of events are discussed and, if possible, live streamed and broadcast, like the killer in New Zealand who shot up a bunch of Muslim people at the end of last year. The basis of this incel shtick, as you said, is basically that these men blame society or blame society's norms or blame women for their unattractiveness. They don't see it as their fault or any deficiency on their part that women don't want to sleep with them, and that manifests itself in deep rage and deep anger against the society and against women who are the root cause of their insecurities. And this is why I revile people such as Jordan Peterson, whose shtick about society and the structures of society being rigged against men and all that kind of shite leads people down this rabbit hole. So he's very much a public face and an easily accessible route into this type of ideology. I think it's sick. I think it's very, very fucked. It's unfortunate that this subculture is gaining more prevalence, but it is a very dangerous and very attractive one. I was shocked.
Why do you think it's gaining more prevalence?
Because it's a very.
So the subculture is essentially. Sorry, because I don't understand this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not unfamiliar with it. So the subculture is basically guys who are angry
At women.
that women don't find them attractive.
Yeah,
Correct,
so
basically.
for background, Incel began around the turn of the millennium after being set up by a gay woman to offer online support to those struggling to find love, and so technically involuntarily celibate.
Okay.
By 2012, the group had been taken over by men who felt their right to have sex with women was being wrongfully denied, in part due to genetic determinism.
What's that?
Who knows?
That could be interesting.
So this a lot of this is Jordan Peterson's shtick about not being desirable, not having desirable
I've heard a lot of his
characteristics.
I've never heard this.
People who
before.
believe like their masculinity is under threat because of the way the world is going, and that the common enemy is females.
Cultural Marxism is destroying the role of traditional males in the family, etc., etc. And you're now persecuted if you want to be a traditional male and have a family and women and not have an obedient woman. It's a bad thing to have an obedient woman in your life, etc., etc.
And I don't know how they've got these stats, but they reckon there are hundreds of thousands of these incels around the world.
Yeah.
But like 2,000 in the UK.
Yeah, it's relatively violent.
I don't know if that goes on the
It's also-
census.
It's a Discord chat.
It's also it's an attractive ideology. I was shocked. I was listening to LBC in the cab on the way home, and so I make the distinction I make the association between white supremacy and male supremacy, because you can understand why white people in this country end up as racist, because they believe that foreigners come here and take their jobs, and so the reason I don't have a job is because it's all these foreigners and people of color who come here and take my shit. It's a very easy way, a very attractive way of you not having any sex or having women who find you attractive by saying, well, just like it's the foreigners taking jobs, it's women's fault that I'm not getting any. And then it's the same base level attraction, deflection of blame and responsibility, or wider issues that lead people down this male supremacy hole as leading down the white supremacy one.
And you mentioned the Canada guy, which I actually didn't know, but there was a case in 2015, a chap called Ben Moynihan, who was 18 at the time, who was jailed for 21 years for attempting to murder 3 women as they walked home alone. He wanted revenge for being unable to lose his virginity because he couldn't find a girlfriend.
How old is he?
He was 18. Insert toxic comment now.
No, I was just thinking 18's young, right?
Oh, damn, man.
Yeah,
Tommy,
because,
come on, man.
Like, he's ambitious at
Go
18.
to a brothel, buddy.
I was like, at 18,
just
it's
go down.
ambitious.
Go
Yeah,
down, bro.
Just
it's
go to
ambitious of him
Amsterdam.
to be vexed,
Fucking
to
hell.
be this angry at 18.
It's crazy,
you know
bro.
what I mean? Like, if he was like a 30-year-old man
Yeah.
who was vexed, then you're like, all right, maybe some insert banter, right?
Yeah.
But at 18, this guy's obviously just a
Yeah, if you want something meaningful, I understand why you wouldn't go to like the old Nag's Head on Aldgate. But you know, if it's just you want
Drop
to lose,
the pin.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
Can you send me that one on Google?
Yeah, I will.
Just,
But if it's just wanting to lose your virginity, bloody hell, bruv. Like, do you have to go about it this way?
it's
But anyway, it's pretty crazy. It's a subculture. It doesn't seem like a lot, 2,000 people in the UK, but there are, as I said, 100,000 people or hundreds of thousands of people around the world who seemingly are buying into this very dangerous ideology.
This guy had a fucking gun license as well.
Yeah, which was
Pretty
taken off
fucking
him
mad.
and then given back to him in I mean, I can't really explain how that went
Fuck
down.
knows.
One thing that we
But,
should be grateful for, though, and happy about, is that this kind of shit doesn't go down that often here, right?
Yeah.
You see this happening every day in the States.
Yeah, that's-
once, twice a week, there'll be gun violence that kills more than 3 people.
You make a really, really good point there, because one of the things that I was reading into on this as well is that unlike the US, every single time one of these mass shootings has happened, Hungerford, Dunblane, as I mentioned before, has always been followed immediately by tightening of gun laws. So I think Hungerford was automatic rifles or automatic guns out of here. I think Dunblane was like, I think after Dunblane happened, they outlawed handguns. Every single time one of these mass murderings has happened, there has been changes to the law, which obviously we can't say the same for the US because they have literally,
as well, right?
So you're right. It doesn't happen here.
So we should be grateful
much,
about
so
that.
we are grateful for that.
The other
but
thing about this
one
story that's
time
crazy-
is too many, right?
The other thing about this story that's crazy is like the number of guns that are out. I didn't actually realize. So the stat was the whatever police department, Devon Satin that gave him back his license, issued 10,000 permits last year.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
10,000 permits?
Yeah.
Well, most of those would be farmers.
They're
down
all
in Devon,
farmers,
right? Yeah.
basically. They're all
Right,
going to be
okay.
people who need shotguns and
Yeah,
rah, 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 and they're in rural places. the council, police council, whatever.
Sure.
The constabulary.
Constabulary.
Those
Is that
guys
to like
aren't-
shoot badgers and stuff.
Yeah, that kind
Foxes.
of shit. Fox,
And-
whatever. But it's non-urban environment
Jesus.
licenses, basically. But these man, there are guns out there.
Yeah,
There
there's
are.
quite a lot.
I think I missed it, but like, yeah, there are guns.
I
out
said,
there. Oh yes, yeah, not here. That's exclusively reserved for stateside action at the moment.
I'm not sure.
It is pretty. I'm pretty sure. No.
I thought I was shooting a
shank,
badger.
man.
Oh, they're the same color.
Yeah.
Wearing that t-shirt.
here we're shanking, man. Innit?
Yeah.
We haven't graduated to the weapon of American choice.
But yeah, man, chillingly, and I'll end on this, man, like obviously sending love to Plymouth and the people of Plymouth, Devon, surrounding areas who are going through it, the people who have lost someone, thinking about the mum, man. Like, imagine giving birth to your killer. Fucking wild, isn't it?
It's a mad one.
It's absolutely fucking wild.
Fuck the incels.
Bone chilling.
There'll be more information that comes out about this because there must be like, in all cases where someone starts off by killing their family, there must be more to it, right?
Dude, he's just unhinged. He's a vulnerable insult, dude.
Yeah, in a number of his many YouTube videos, he was disrespecting his mum quite a bit. He said that she was, he said some very, very insulting things about the way that she raised him and the way that she is and so on and so forth. So there was no love lost from that perspective. But again, come on.
Whereas these brothers are struggling.
Apple. Apple
Oh, God.
says that its announcement of automated tools to detect child sexual abuse on the iPhone and iPad was miscommunicated.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Badly.
Sorry.
Week and a half ago, Apple revealed that they were going to have new image detection software that can alert Apple if known illegal images were uploaded to its iCloud storage. Creepy. Privacy groups criticized the news, with some saying Apple had created a security backdoor in its software. The company says its announcement has been widely misunderstood. We wish this had come out a little bit more clearly for everybody, said Apple software chief Craig Federighi. Apple announced 2 new tools designed to protect children. They will be deployed in the US first. The first one is image detection. The first tool can identify known child sex abuse material when a user uploads photos to iCloud storage. Message filtering. In addition to the iCloud tool, Apple are also announcing a parental control that users could activate on their children's accounts. If activated, the system would check photographs sent by or to the child over Apple's iMessage app. If the machine learning system judged that a photo contained nudity, it would obscure the photo and warn the child. Parents can also choose to receive an alert if the child chooses to view the photo. What a time to be alive.
Yeah, I mean, I've totally missed the story, completely ignorant to it. I've not really seen anything about it. And I guess you could make the case, it'd be very weird if you did. You could make the case where this is all turning into Black Mirror.
Yep.
And this is private companies who are infringing on the role of the state and our private personal privacy and whatever. But really,
Sounds like you don't believe it.
But really, I mean, like, what's the case of defense if you've got fucking child porn on your phone? I don't give a shit.
But what's the difference between child porn in your phone versus a child of your own in the bath with you?
Okay, fine. I don't think that if you get taken to court for having a photo of your kid in the bath, that you're going to get prosecuted.
So I'll give
It's a
you
false
some colour.
equivalence.
I'll give you some color on the story, yeah. So
He's got back in the
No,
seat.
no,
He's
no,
ready.
just to
Hey,
say- so
Olga has entered the chat.
Yeah.
No, just because there
Arrived.
is like we can shoot Apple some bail on this, even though I don't want to, right? And everything that Johnny was
Android
saying
baby.
in a sarcastic tone of yeah. That's all serious concerns, like of your privacy and rah. It's difficult to argue against child abuse, obviously.
Of course.
So that's why you start there, right? Because no one's going to be like, yeah. People should have child abuse images on their phone.
Yeah.
You can't have that argument, right? So you start there, and then before then, it's going to be like other illegal acts. Oh, why have you got pictures of drugs on your phone? Or why is there a picture of a shank, etc., etc. So the argument is the road of direction. But anyway, to go back to the point about the naked picture of you and your kid in a bath or rah. The argument that they make is that there's already a database basically of known child sexual images, right?
Yep.
Millions and millions of images that have been stored by global police forces basically over many, many years. And those images are turned into some form of what they call a fingerprint, basically. So it's not actually an image, it's just a series of lines or some shit like that. And then they argue that what they're doing is they're taking every image on your iPhone and then turning that into a fingerprint and then matching fingerprint to fingerprint.
Okay.
Right? So the argument of like, me and my daughter in the shower, or me and my son, like whatever, I'm changing my kid and someone took a picture.
Yeah.
So what happens is all of those are nullified because none of those images will be on the database of sexual sexual abuse that the police have put together. So there's no way you can get flagged, is Apple's argument.
Yep.
So Apple's argument is if you've taken a picture of you and your kid and the kid is maybe semi-naked or whatever and it's on your personal phone, then there's no way you can get flagged because that's not going to match a database of blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Whereas people are arguing, I'm not comfortable with even Apple accessing this information and looking at these images, right? To which they retort, well, we're not looking at an image, we're looking at a fingerprint, basically. It's not really the actual image.
Right.
Yeah.
But it all comes back down to who has the rights to this picture that I've just taken.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah.
Right. And their pushback on that I'm sorry message is also partly I'm sorry, but partly also Facebook and blah, blah, blah. They've all been doing this for a while. Everyone does image checks against this registry, rah, rah, rah. So that's their argument. We're not the only ones, but they're the ones that have probably the most dominant market position. And that's why people are like, well, if Apple say it's cool and they're going to work with the US government to do this, then the US government would then turn around tomorrow and force all other companies to work with them in various other ways.
It is quite interesting though, because we are entering a place. We had this conversation about whether or not social media platforms should do more to curb racial abuse that happens online. And, you know, we obviously went back and forth on the role of the companies. It's becoming more and more apparent that the companies are becoming the government with regards to the steps that are being taken to right some of the many wrongs that are happening in society. Isn't it? Like the companies are essentially going where the government doesn't see, even though you said in collaboration with the government, it would appear that the companies actually do play a huge part in righting some of these societal wrongs, whether we like it or not. We're at that point now, right?
Yeah, I mean, this isn't new though, right? If you look at the vast majority of what is America's intelligence and defense infrastructure, it's run by Amazon. America's logistics infrastructure is Amazon. So these moves have been happening for years and years and years. I just don't particularly think that I don't think this is an egregious case. I understand that there is risk of overreach. There's risk of policy reach if you instigate this. But I'm more than willing to let this one run, especially if the model you describe about not actually looking at photos and running fingerprint
matching. That's why I said we should shoot them bail. Like we have to report it fairly. It'd be jokes to be like, fuck Apple, they're fucking us.
And there's plenty of shit that Apple do that is awful. You know, if Apple paid their fucking tax appropriately, there'd be a lot more resource to hunt pedophiles in countries all around the world.
Big facts.
And that's not great. However, am I gonna ping them for using their technological advantage to find nonces? No, I'm probably comfortable with this.
It's all fun and games until one of your nudes ends up pinging you back as an alert because it's on this police database.
If I take a nude and Apple deems my dick so small that it's deemed as child porn, I've got greater issues than personal privacy.
Join your boys in the insleb or whatever.
Yeah, insleb.
What are they called?
Incel white boy summer mashup party.
I said sleb because of their celibacy.
Yeah. Makes sense. Insleb sounds disgusting.
Involuntary.
It sounds much worse, doesn't it?
Insleb.
Involuntary celebrity or some shit. Anyway, so
you're for it. You are for this.
I'm for stopping nonsense. Yeah, that's what's up.
100%.
It's not a particularly revolutionary take, but it seems like this seems like something that can fairly easily be done. The fingerprint model seems fairly fair. The vast majority, 99.999% of people are never going to get pinged. If you take a selfie and my picture isn't already on the database, then there's no ping, right? So I don't really give a shit. Run free.
Today, right? The issue is today. Right? Today, it all makes sense. Today, 100%. I find it difficult to argue against child porn, and today it makes sense that it's fingerprints and rah rah. If we believe and buy all the BS that we get told. But what's it going to be tomorrow? That's the issue, right?
Yeah, agreed.
And you're right. Big companies have always played a role, right? And we mentioned Amazon and blah, 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 but it's across all sectors, Boeing and Lockheed Martin and Halliburton and like various parts of the government.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand
big
that technology is used for these frameworks, just logistically and in terms of infrastructure. But my point was more some of the more pressing societal issues that we have, racism, child abuse, so on and so forth. An area which companies typically refrained from in the past getting involved with are now taking a charge in changing what you would argue the government has a responsibility in addressing first.
I think what we have to realize...
It should be government announcements using the technology of Apple as opposed to Apple saying we've got this technology in collaboration with...
The government can't mandate Apple to do that, right? But the flip side, well, not in the US anyway. In China, they could. But like in the US or somewhere like that, you can't. But the other thing that we have to bear in mind is these large US companies, maybe some large G7 companies or whatever, the scale at which they operate is larger than the majority of countries around the world, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about how much cash on hand Apple has, just sitting in a bank account.
Apple could buy Greece
exactly easily,
with
probably
cash.
twice over.
They could buy Greece with cash.
Yeah, the cash reserves that they're sitting on. Like if they were a country, would have them in the similar size to Poland. I remember reading a few years back, and that's a few years ago, right? So they operate on a different level. They don't think about things on a singular country level, right?
So they run like states. These mega corporations run like states.
Yeah.
Tim Cook and Jeff Bezos are presidents
basically,
effectively, and they oversee different departments of an internal government.
So they're not thinking about this on a single state level like US, UK. They're just looking at it from a global perspective. And the proof is in the pudding. Facebook have their own Supreme Court, right? They have a group of 15 or 20 or 30 people that they've hired, some of the most what's considered like philosophical thinkers, elite man or whatever, various ex-presidents, foreign ministers. Nick Clegg sits on it, and various other people, right? So they are countries. Facebook is just as powerful as a let's say G20 country.
Yeah,
I would say cynically that this move by Apple is business.
Do you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah,
quite controversial.
No, I agree with you.
You think Apple, or Amazon, or Facebook are more powerful than any non-G20 country?
Yeah, I do, because their lobbying abilities are way larger, right? I would say what this is for Apple,
even without an army.
Yeah, well, you could just go fucking hire the guys that did the Haitian president.
Yeah,
right?
for real.
Or you
shout out
just force
Haiti,
the US
by the
government.
way.
Yeah.
You just tell the US government,
exactly.
hey,
go invade them.
I've got interest here.
Well, what do you fucking think Iraq and Afghanistan
That's
were
what I'm
about?
saying.
Yeah.
Shout out Haiti, by the way.
Shout out
Man.
Haiti,
Another
big
bloody
time, another
earthquake.
earthquake.
Jesus
Awful.
Christ, they're going for it.
To wrap this up, I think basically this is business by Apple. This is business. This is PR work. It's good for PR.
It's not good for PR. It's been terrible. That's why they've had to release a second I'm sorry statement.
Yeah, I think eventually it will turn out for the better. They're trying to do it. They're trying to do a social good, even if they've messed up in the execution. But it's business.
Yeah.
It's business.
But even that social goods bullshit, because they baited themselves. Because at the end they were like, well, Facebook and these men already do it.
Fine.
So then you're like, well, then it's not social good. You're coming to the party late. So why is Google and Facebook 5 years ahead of you?
In keeping with everything we've just said, these companies, like you said, run like superstates. They are laws unto their own. Their lobbying capability is infinite. And if Apple paid their taxes, then law enforcement would be sufficiently funded elsewhere around the world. They're doing this for business. They think they can make money out of it. So good that they're catching nonsense, but let's not pretend that Apple's a charity.
So less dick pics into iClouds is the conclusion.
Just make sure you got a big enough dick to not be caught as a child, and then
that's
you'll
it.
be right.
Yeah. So guys, Tories, we love them.
The Tommy party.
Yeah.
Not the Tommy party.
So what's going on, man? Like Rishi Sunak all of a sudden goes from being one of the most popular, what we thought popular MPs / top dogs in politics, to being apparently threatened with being sacked by his boss.
Yes, Icarus flew too close to the sun.
Ridiculous. And he
one
is
of the 48 laws of power.
Yeah.
Never outshine the master.
Or, as I like to say, don't make your boss look like a
That's why you haven't written a book yet.
soon come what? Rishi Sunak had
Anyone
to
can write a book these days, by the way. It's a fucking joke. The number of Facebook things and like Instagram things I see of people that I know who are writing books,
I might do one.
self-publishing.
I'm
might
not
write a
hating. I'm
book.
not hating on anyone who can
might
write a book, though. I'm not hating on anybody who can write a book.
What do you mean can write a
But
book?
bro,
If you
writing
can
a
string
book.
sentences together, you can write a book.
Nah, but writing a
You'll be
book.
surprised at how easy it is to self-publish. Like these
Yeah.
days, I'm thinking of writing a children's book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, because I've got a little cousin who can draw really well and she wants to write.
Bro.
So it's like, I'll sit with you and help you write.
That's
this thing and
Walliams
draw.
money, baby.
Yeah,
Go.
but with and this is technology again, right? With self-publishing, everything's accessible. Things that we used to think were difficult to do, authors, musicians, no, but you can make music yourself at home, or you can write books. I mean, everything's become much more accessible.
But anyway, the Chancellor had to insist that he and Boris Johnson were in tandem, or as he said, in lockstep, over major spending commitments expected this autumn, despite ongoing suggestions that they are not. Boris Johnson reportedly threatened to demote or sack Mr. Rishi last week in the latest sign of tensions between the top Tory pair. Asked repeatedly by many news outlets this week if he had ambitions to take on the top job, like many people think Rishi will, he said, "These are not the sort of things I'm focused on."
Yes, very good. Very good answer.
Apparently more than half of Tory voters want Mr. Rishi to succeed Bojo in Downing
Surely
Street.
way more than half.
Diversity, DNI, and that.
Yes.
And some 47% of Conservatives want this transition to happen in the next 12 months. Now, guys, am I completely barking up the wrong tree by just thinking that like this could be 100% orchestrated by the Tories because they know deep down inside that Boris is on his way out, but they have this unbelievably popular Chancellor who got us through...
Turbulent times.
No, what was it called? Furlough. Furlough God. Furlough Papi.
Hello, puppy, Madonna mia.
Do you think that this could be something that the Tories are orchestrating because they're like that to essentially secure the Tory majority for the next fucking couple of generations? Or do you think it is real beef?
No, I think it was real beef. And you can tell by the nature of the leak and who and how it came out.
Because essentially the way this all started for the listeners who don't know, but it all kicked off because there was a leak that Rishi had to write a letter to Boris Johnson essentially saying, motherfucker, all of these other countries are opening up travel restrictions and extending their furloughs. We are looking like mugs because we are not. Signed regards, best regards, kind regards, yours sincerely, Rishi.
Rishi.
Because we're not opening up.
Yes. So he was like, we are not competitive with our neighboring countries and the other European powerhouses who are opening up their travel restrictions way more aggressively than we are.
So what you're saying is he was coming at Boris.
He was coming at Boris. He was coming at Boris
from
and
the
saying,
right.
yes, saying we need to do more here, and that got leaked, and that's how things started.
Yeah.
So to your point.
So I don't think this is a media play. Judging by the nature of the leak, I didn't read the entire story, but I kind of caught the headline when it first came out, and then read a bit at the time, but didn't read much of the follow up. But seeing how it came to market, this one's real beef. And I did see some good analysis at the time, basically that Rishi is significantly more popular among non-Conservative Party members, and the Conservative Party membership are well aware of that fact. So if Boris were to get rid of Rishi, he would effectively become a king across the water. Was the phrase used?
What does that mean?
A king across the water is a king who sits on a throne from a distance.
Oh, okay, cool.
I think the Conservatives know that. Again, like you said, the Tories really know this job doesn't earn enough money for Boris, and he's on the way out. He doesn't really fancy it anymore. He's won his elections, and he'll go down in history.
I hate the guy.
He's done his job.
But spare a thought for what he's had to come into as PM.
But his power plays. This is what he's wanted to.
This fucking idiot has gone from like opportunity to opportunistically.
But he's gone from "Have I got news for you, joke man" to Prime Minister will go down in history as an election winner. So it's fine. He's done
massive election as well.
Yeah, he's done his thing. Yeah. But I think the Tories know there's a lot more longevity in Rishi. Like you say, he serves the DNI box. Great chat for the Tories. But listen, we've had actually 2 women and
now a brown man
as Prime Minister. You man are still doing up Jezza and Keir. Yeah. So let's not chat to man about social mobility. It's great chat. It's great Tory chat.
Now that you mentioned Keir, what's interesting is
there's nothing interesting about Keir.
No. But what's interesting is that you could probably pull parallels between what Rishi on paper offers, this kind of safe, steady pair of hands, who has the argument for why Rishi could potentially be a great leader of the party is this exact same argument that people put forward towards Sir Keir Starmer, right? So you have this crazy Jeremy Corbyn, unelectable, no strategy, blah, blah, blah. You have this crazy Boris Johnson who's eccentric and doesn't have any coherent strategy, etc., etc. And the replacement for both of these are apparently these steady hand guys who are like the return to established order, basically, right? So it could also go terribly wrong. Right, is what I'm trying to say.
This could end
the
terribly.
same way.
It could end terribly.
Yeah,
Getting
the same
Rishi.
way it went for the Labour Party.
Yeah.
Starmer, right? I'd like just to say on this. Firstly, for Boris, Rishi's not going to be a man who you can brush off as easily. Firstly, right?
Not anymore.
Because man like Sajid could get brushed, right? Whereas I don't know if you men are aware, but Rishi's wife
Is
her dad.
loaded.
Her dad
Created
is-
Infosys, right?
Bruv, her dad is levels. Yeah,
Levels.
exactly.
Levels.
He's worth like 6 or 7 bill.
Bruv.
Like these guys are major party donors.
Correct.
He's no mug, by the way, Rishi as well. He ran. He was one of the co-founders of a hedge fund that I used to cover in London.
But he's Oxford Goldman hedge fund, right?
Yeah.
So he's got
Telem
proper track
Partners.
record.
Yeah, but he also went to Winchester and he comes from money as well,
He's got
right?
serious
From these
money.
Kenyan Indian.
He's got money, but he
descendants.
married serious
Yeah,
money.
but he married very well. So like,
Very good.
it's not like
Goals.
Sadiq Khan and thing where you're like, I don't have a power base within. Like Rishi is well connected. Like so, he's not going to be as easy to brush off for Boris. Firstly, secondly, though, I don't buy this. I think Rishi's kind of ascended to this chancellor spot pretty luckily, right?
But Boris has
With
created
the
a
whole
beast.
thing,
He
right?
got rid of Javid and then got in someone who he thought would be
So-
quiet and didn't realise that he turned out to be so
But
popular.
It's not a beast issue, is what I'm saying. Firstly, he's popular now because everyone's popular until there's attention put on them, and then their unfavorabilities start getting driven up. Right?
Yeah.
No, we don't know anything about him, so he's
his
competent.
advantage.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's why he's popular because we don't know anything. He's competent. He's delivered a couple of budgets.
Speaks
he
well.
He seems like a nice enough guy. Whatever, right? So he's liked, right? But the minute that the spotlight is on him, right? When the tabloids and the talk journalists and this and that are now all discussing him, and he is interfacing with us, the general public, much more regularly than he is, more regular interviews, more regular time on Question Time, etc., etc. His unfavorability, his disapproval ratings will go
naturally,
up
yeah.
naturally.
Yep.
The more we see him, we'll find things that we don't like,
Yep.
and the more the opposition, the Labour Party, see that he is a popular person, the more they'll work towards making him unpopular, right?
Yep.
So it's cool. He's popular now, fine. But I don't think that popularity lasts that long, right? Because the more we get to know him, I'm sure the more we'll dislike him. Because right now, it's just an image. He's just a brown man who dresses fairly well, in good shape, who's a chancellor, who delivers competent, good public speeches and la la la. So it makes sense that everyone likes him. But give the Sun, the Mirror, the Daily Mail, and all these guys 2 minutes. They'll pull up reasons why we won't like him.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they see him as a Blairite type figure. He's young, slim.
When you say they, you mean the establishment, basically.
The establishment, the party, and the media to an extent. They see him as a Blairite type figure. Young, slim, relatively good looking, good for camera, good on camera. Okay, not a massively strong ideology. And
Slim.
Yeah,
You watch your
in good
man's
shape. Oh yes, yeah.
man. What are you talking about?
What?
Does that go into this?
Yeah, he's
100%.
photogenic. He's good on camera.
Image on
100%.
images of everything, right?
100%.
You forgot who's in charge.
Yeah, but he's a once in a generation blustering
I
moron.
didn't know you were looking
also
at
personality.
No,
Yeah.
no wonder you said Dishy Rishi. Okay, John, carry on.
Who said Dishy Rishi?
That was his nickname.
Is that what you said? Jeez.
That's what I said. That was his nickname.
All right,
Carry
nickname.
on,
I've
bro.
never heard that.
I've never heard that.
Wow, boy.
Furlough Papi.
You might need to...
Furlough. I like Furlough
Furlough
Papi. though.
Papi, that was a good
Furlough
one still.
Papi. I like.
That's what they called him, Dishy Rishi.
Dishy Rishi.
Yeah.
That's Dishy Rishi's a bit racist. To me.
Oh, boy.
For real. If you
How is
ask
that
me,
racist?
it doesn't.
I mean,
what?
you could.
Oh, wait, did you
What?
hear
What
the
do you
term...
mean, how is that
did you
racist?
Did you hear the term
Mr.
curry?
I don't see color. Yeah.
The term curry is now racist. We're cancelling the word curry.
Say what?
It's rooted in colonialism, apparently. I saw
Say
that.
what?
I saw that come up on Twitter. I didn't read it, but yeah.
You need to get off that.
Yeah, I do need to get off that. Anyway, I think that he's seen as you said, not only the safe pair of hands, but young and a Blairite figure. He doesn't really stand for much, which is kind of the Labour Party's advantage because he's like Keir Starmer in that. Okay, clearly competent, but what's his politics?
That's the whole thing, right?
Yeah, what's his politics?
So then you
that's-
get in and then
that's
it's
Labour's crack. That's Labour's cracker light.
Yeah.
But was this beef manufactured, going back to the original question? No, I think it's genuine, and I think it's probably actually the setting up of a platform of a Sunak ascendancy.
So
I think it is
to wrap-
manufactured though, because I think it's not. It's definitely it's 100% manufactured in
I
the sense
think so.
that if anything, it'd be like a Boris insecurity. Rishi's not dumb enough to make a play for Boris's job right now.
Yeah, I
right?
agree.
So it's definitely manufactured. Boris may be insecure about it, like you said, because he's created a beast and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
this ain't.
So in short, how long do you guys think Boris has left? Just a wrap. 12 months, less than a year.
No, he's got longer than that. But
Okay.
I don't think he'll be the leader at the next election.
I don't think he. I
Oh,
don't,
is it, but that's 3 years away.
3.5, 4 years
Yeah.
away. Or something like
I
that.
don't think he gets the next Christmas.
Next Christmas, or
Not
this
this
Christmas
Christmas.
coming.
Not this Christmas.
Next Christmas. Okay. Wow.
Because this Christmas is a year. When was the election? 2019.
Yeah, but we're
So
saying
they
the
wanna
same
do 2
thing
years.
then. So we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if he's not going to lead the party for the next election, then he's going to have to go at least 18 months before
Yes.
that
Yeah.
election to give the new leader something
Yeah.
to...
Yeah.
Next Christmas he's gone.
Speaking about Tories.
Tommy.
Johnny
I'm absolutely sure Faye is a Tory.
and Priya.
Priya is definitely a Tory. She's following them all on Instagram, isn't it?
Is she?
Yeah, she's following like Pretty Patel on
Faye's
Instagram. and
face.
that.
Yeah, but
is
Priti Patel's a brown
very,
thing, right? So if you're a
very
brown
Tory.
girl, then obviously Priti Patel is like a hero,
Listen,
right?
but you still, there's plenty of brown people in the Labour Party you can follow.
So,
like who?
What brown people in the Labour Party?
Yeah.
It's fucking Chakraborty, innit?
Brown women in the Labour Party.
Yeah.
Who?
Chakraborty, whatever the fuck her name
She's
is.
not. Jeremy Corbyn gave her a peerage. Like
Yeah,
she's not
she's
part of
in
the
the
Labour
Labour
Party.
So we're
Sucker.
approaching the end of the summer's spectacle that
I think
is
the whole Labour Party.
Love
takes the
Island.
WBS.
I genuinely think it's been one of the worst years ever for Love Island. I think Casa Amor, shout out the producers,
Yes.
did its fucking thing.
Saved it big time.
It ruined relationships, which is what I was here for. I really tested shit.
I want chaos.
Yeah, for real.
I don't want peace.
all the time.
I want violence.
I gotta say, wasn't sure a man like Toby before. I didn't see the vision, but as soon as I clocked the vision, I was like, "Yo, this guy is the MVP of this
Yes.
whole thing." And
king-
without him, this season would have
called
been
it early.
Yeah.
very dire.
A toxic king among men.
And the thing is,
not toxic, though.
this
He
is
is
the
toxic.
thing,
He's just
Tommy.
young.
I don't
He's just
actually,
young.
I don't
He
even
is
think the
toxic.
man's toxic. He just
not.
went in there and was like, "I like all of you, so let me just try a thing."
Yeah. And have you seen his promo?
Wives
His
and
promo
that.
is so funny going into it where he's like, I like Kit Kat, I like Twix, I like Mars, I like he's just naming bare different chocolate bars. He's like, I like all of them.
There you go. It makes sense.
I wish I was that dumb.
Yeah.
I wish I was as dumb.
Nah,
as
he's
him.
not dumb.
He's
not dumb.
unbelievably stupid.
He is silly. To be
He's
honest.
silly, he's not dumb though.
He's a bit.
Being
he's
silly and being dumb is not the same.
I think he's a bit dumb.
He's an idiot.
He's very silly, but he's a bit dumb
He's
as
an
well.
idiot. I mean, he's an idiot. Let's not be.
Everything
around the
is
He's
everything
about
is
to out-earn you, though.
and it's
Yes.
you're about to be richer than all of
bush.
us.
All of us
Combined.
In a few months.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Love Island's been good. Who do you think is gonna win?
I've actually not been watching for 2 weeks because I've been following it on Twitter. So I will.
It's
I
going to
will
be a
say
Liam and Millie thing.
it's going to be
You
Liam and
reckon?
Willie,
Yeah,
because
it's a
Jake
bait
and Liberty
thing.
is falling apart. Thankfully, I called it months ago as well, weeks ago.
I
that
don't
Jake and Liberty was
like
fake.
this.
This Jake
I
brother
don't like
is
this
sus.
No, I don't like the anti-Jake narrative, bro.
He's sus.
I'm not gonna
He's
lie.
a sus guy.
It's not
He's been
sus for
sus
him,
from day.
but bro, it's not sus for him to be on a show with a group of strangers being basically forced into a relationship with this girl called Liberty, right?
How forced?
Hang on
Forced
a sec. I'll
how?
get to it.
Yeah,
I'll
Lem
get
did
to
say
it. Basically being strong-armed into saying he fucking loves her just because she decided to say I love you 2 minutes into knowing him.
That's the
like,
thing as
do you know
well.
what I mean? Like, you can like Millie and want that. You can like Liberty and want that relationship to grow and want to win the 50K, and it not be mutually exclusive. Like he's doing a thing.
I think-
If him encouraging, as they said, encouraging the man them to go and cheat. Brother, does he need to fucking encourage Toby to move from Abby to Chloe to you know?
But
what
he
I mean?
was encouraging, man. Look, the
was
thing is,
encouraging
yeah,
everyone,
Ian
He
Sterling.
wasn't encouraging. He was just saying, bruv, if I was single, I'd be tapping that ass.
Ian Sterling said the best, like, you know, he does his little jokes, yeah? The best joke he did when he was like, when the whole anti-Jake thing was, he said something along the lines of, all the girls think Jake knows that he's on a TV show. He swears he doesn't. Like, and that's basically what it is. They're vexed at him because they think that he's not being 100% natural.
Yeah.
I.e., he has a bit of a filter because he knows he's being recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're all like, none of us are doing that. How could he be doing
Exactly.
that? Which is hypocritical in
It's
itself.
mad
do you know what I
hypocritical.
mean?
It's just like I don't like the idea of people.
I don't
saying
like
that,
him though. He's a beg friend.
He may not. He
He's a
may.
waste man. But
him
he's
and
also going to
Liberty
dip
may not.
Liberty as soon. As soon as any other thing comes on the outside world, he's leaving this girl.
But bro, that's fine.
Day
I don't
one
think
after
so.
the
That's
show.
his
fine.
girlfriend, bro.
Shut up.
You're my girlfriend.
That's his girlfriend.
Tell me, like, you're my
There's
girlfriend.
meaty Cornish
You're my
accent.
girlfriend.
Bear
Libs.
charring.
Libs, I'm attracted to you. You're my girlfriend.
He's not fucking
Western Superman. Don't try it.
He's
That
not
was a good
from
one.
Canada, bro.
What? That was Western Superman.
So I think Liam and Millie are going to win it. I think it's bait.
Yeah, I think so.
She's really
You don't
hot
think
as well.
you don't think Teddy and Faye might sneak it because the UK is full of insecure people with similar
Bun.
issues?
Faye.
Twitter hates Faye. She's not going to win it.
But Twitter don't vote.
Twitter's the
They
only
vote
fucking
on
people who
tweet.
vote.
They vote via tweets.
No.
They ain't calling in the lines.
No.
it's an app thing, I
Faye
think.
won't win because especially after her blowout, the most complained about thing in Love Island history, 25,000 complaints.
That being said,
for her
she
blow up on
ranked
Teddy.
third in that like most best relationship thing.
There you go. They did the challenge 2 nights ago, I think it was, where it's like most popular couple. They're up there.
She's not going to win. And I hope Teddy leaves her because she's actually a fucking mess.
She
that
definitely
woman.
deserves a happy slap.
She's a mess, that woman.
Yeah,
We
happy
need to bring
slaps.
back happy slaps for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you think Liam and Millie?
I think they're the
I think
bait
they're a
choice.
good couple, by the way. I know that he had his thing in Casa Amor,
Yeah.
but again, like
Jake made him cheat.
He made a point. He
He also didn't bring the other thing back.
Yeah, he didn't bring it back.
Yeah.
And when Millie put it on him, he was like, "But you weren't my girlfriend." So
Yeah. That's why she said, let's be exclusive.
And I respected that. I
Yeah.
respected that because they're putting it on these guys in such a
true.
way and making these guys take on so much more responsibility than they actually deserve, given they're not together, right? If Liberty went over there, if Jake went over there and he did a thing, fine. He's committed to being Liberty's girlfriend before
Yeah.
he's gone over there, so
Yeah.
he would be cheating. But
Everyone else.
Liam, everyone else, right?
And that's the hypocrisy in what Jake.
Come on.
That's what Jake said.
Yeah.
Jake said, if you guys have got girlfriends, then fair enough. But if I was single, then
Exactly. So everyone's like anti-Jake, and I'm just like, bruv, he's living vicariously. You know what would have
Yeah, he
happened.
is living
Jake would have been
vicariously.
running amok if he didn't get tied into Liberty early. He would be the
Nah,
total.
he wouldn't have options.
I actually
He wouldn't have
reckon.
I don't think Jake would have options like
If
that.
he was single flying around, they would have been flinging in girls like they were for Hugo, bruv.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You feel me?
They would be flinging.
Hugo had
And
the
Hugo
most
still
blessed-
flopped it.
Hugo had the most
Hugo's
blessed
thing at
life.
the end.
Talking about flinging things in, I saw the best tweet of all time. Yeah, when they came back, and it was like Toby's dashed Mary into the villa like a Hermes package, and never spoken to her again.
Mary is
Shit.
Mary is wonderful.
She's definitely
She's wonderful.
a very nice,
Wonderful,
very nice
wonderful,
girl.
wonderful.
Yeah. Well, just finishing up on Jake. What I will say is that
Not in the elite category though.
She is.
I don't
She's
like.
elite.
So we'll
Of
come
the
on
Love
that.
Island.
I don't.
Of
I
the
don't
Love
the
Island
reason I don't
crowd.
like Jake isn't because of encouraging other guys to cheat or not cheat. Because I kind of agree on that point. If you're not together, then it's not really cheating, is it?
Yeah.
I just don't think that he's genuine with Liberty. I think that if he knew he wasn't on camera, he'd have already left her for Mary, and he would have left her for another girl
But who
already.
wouldn't?
And that's all right.
It's
Fine.
Mary, baby.
Yeah, and I agree. But
Yeah.
let's not pretend that you're doing up the I love you thing because that's wrong. That's wrong.
But he got strong armed into that I love you. He didn't want to say it, and I respect that.
No, don't say I love you. You can't be strong armed into
But
that.
bro, he's being called.
I think-
He's done it
I
on
think-
camera.
I think
He's
it was-
he's being called onto the frigging balcony, and the
Yeah.
girl's like, "I said I loved you after 5 minutes, and you haven't said it back."
It's been 4
I
weeks.
don't love you.
Like, but
I like you, we're
But
getting
that's
on.
what I'm saying. He was strong armed into it.
can't
But
Jake-
saying
I'm
"I love you"
Jake
there was
is-
the biggest flop
But he's
because
a
I don't know
nice
what's
guy.
about to happen. But it's bare suspicious when someone says to you, "Why haven't you said I loved you?" and you're like, "But I do love you." So like,
no.
so that's what's suspicious.
No, I'm
right?
I'm on Jake's side.
She's gonna.
of this, man.
I get it as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And I'm
Jake,
generally
bro,
looking to
fucking
shoot
hell.
bail, right?
Yeah.
But what's gonna happen that we don't know yet? So this is a prediction. She's gonna turn up, go back downstairs to the girls, and be like, "Yeah, we had a great chat. He told me I loved you, and he loved me." And then the girls are gonna be like, "Nah."
Yeah.
What I'm going to say to wrap this up is give this 2 or 3 weeks and Jake will be ending up on White Boy Summer.
But love it. I love it. With Prince Andrew and Andrew Cuomo.
The two Andrews.
Yeah.
Andrews.
Which, to be honest, we don't even need to get into. But White Boy Summer's looking fucking disgusting.
It's looking
Johnny.
pretty sus, yeah. It's looking pretty
Good
sus.
luck. Good luck. So yeah, I
You're gonna be 1 in 1 out soon.
yeah, yeah, for real. I think it's gonna be.
I won't be invited with this tan.
I'm in agreement. I think it may be Liam and Millie. I think Millie is carrying that couple because she is so incredibly likable.
Yeah, she's very likable.
relatable,
Very hot.
hot as well. I think she will carry that couple to the win.
They're going to be very rich, and I'm
Here's
happy
one
for
for you,
them.
Rich. Who do you think their biggest competitors are?
I think
For the
I
title.
still think it's Jake and Liberty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think he's popular enough.
No, they're done. I think Blake and Jibbity,
Just call him Jibbity.
Jibbity ain't going nowhere.
It's done.
basically.
Yeah, it's done. And
They're
I think
done,
she's
basically.
finally clocking, and I'm happy for her. 'Cause
No,
he
when I
starts-
say
he
done though, I
starts
don't
from
mean
base.
she's gonna bounce. When I say done, I
think
mean
she
like
will.
they're not gonna get public votes.
My
maybe.
wild prediction, as it's recorded, is that they don't make it to the end of the show together.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Hot take, Johnny. Good luck to everybody. I always say as I approach the end that I'm never going to watch it again. We'll see how I feel in a year's time.
Bro, you'll be
I
there.
definitely don't make it to the final dates
What's
where
what do
they
you mean
get
a year's time? They do Christmas specials these days.
No, they're not going
don't
to do a Windsor one this year. I don't think.
they're not.
Why'd you
It was
say
pretty
that?
shit the last one.
I
in
try
South
to
Africa.
avoid the mushy final dates thing, and I don't watch the winning the award-winning the show where they decide the winner. So
Now
I'm,
is
so I'm
where it gets
naturally
shit,
I'm naturally coming to the end of my time with Love Island 2021. But good luck to everybody. We will see them all switching and swapping up partners in the months after the show is finished.
Enjoy the millions.
Yeah, and I look forward to seeing them spend their millions. We now have relationship advice.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, man, them. So
Thank you to the submitters.
So this was actually a conversation I had with a friend who said maybe you guys can talk through this topic.
Oh shit.
So I'm not gonna give out any names.
Okay.
Of course,
as usual.
Okay.
But I have to shout out because it was a male. So we've been looking out for
yes, very
Loving
good.
it. Loving
We've
it.
been looking out for guys to get in touch. He didn't want me to go into too many details.
Okay.
Okay.
But the theme essentially is, does it ever make sense to go back to an ex?
Ooh.
Is basically what he wants. So he's in a spot where he was seeing a chick for a number of years, right? They were together for a long time and broke up. He broke up with her.
Okay.
Right. And now he wants to know, it's been a couple of years, it's been 2 or 3 years. He's had some relationships. Now he's like, oh, me and her started speaking again. I think they ran into each other somewhere post-lockdown.
She was the one.
Post Freedom Day,
Yeah.
shoots kind of thing. Ran into each other. It's kind of stayed in touch. Oh, I haven't seen you in time. Talk. And he's been debating it with a bag of man, basically, that we know, as to whether it's time, whether even conceptually it ever makes sense to go back to an ex, basically.
Interesting.
So that's our relationship advice. I don't know which one of you gentlemen want to
So I've
kick
actually
off.
got a question first. When they
Yes.
first got together, and they were together for a long time, were they young?
Younger, yeah. I mean, obviously younger, but they weren't young. They were
Early 20s?
Early 20s, exactly.
That's quite young.
Then
Yeah.
I'd say that's quite young.
But they are, to give you a perspective, he is a year older than us. Basically.
Okay.
How old is she?
Similar age. She's not.
Okay,
she'll be
so there's not an age. There's
no
not an age
real
gap
age
in-
gap. She might
okay,
be
fine.
2 years younger than
And they
us.
were together for how long the first time?
3 or 4 years.
How many years ago did they break up?
A while ago.
Okay,
Like, it's
fine.
been a number of years.
Longer than they were together.
Yeah, longer. Yeah, definitely longer than.
Okay,
they've been
so-
together. They were together for 3 or 4 years, and then they've been broken up for like 5-6 years.
Do we know why they broke up?
Yes.
I don't know why they broke, but he broke up with her.
He broke up with her.
Amicable split? No cheating, none of that stuff?
No, I don't think so. I don't think
Okay.
there was any. This part I don't know. This is guesswork
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of the relationships we have. But like, from what I understand, I don't know. Breakups are never amicable. But like, there was no cheat. There was no infidelity or anything like that.
Well, they're
but it
talking
was a
again, so it
breakup.
can't have been that bad, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
time's a great healer, right? 6
Yeah.
years
Yeah, I
goes
guess.
by and you run into someone.
So the
you're not
reason
going to be pissed.
the reason why I asked the question about like how young were they is because I think sometimes people do get into relationships with the right people at the wrong time. So you may.
So what was the cutoff in your mind? What number did you want to hear when I said?
Well, if they got together sort of pre 25 years
Okay.
old, as I said, like early 20s, then it's not necessarily the nicest decision to be on the receiving end of. But sometimes people make a decision that this is literally everything that I want, but right now I couldn't possibly give my all to it, so I need to step away for the benefit of what I think is special.
You think people do
It
that?
sounds-
People
I-
leave
I
something
think
that is 100% what they want.
I think that can happen. I think people can break up if they think that there are some pretty obvious obstacles that are going to affect this relationship, like travel. Like, for example, somebody may see. I remember one of my exes. We broke up because she knew that she was going to be going to Peru to freaking
Travel
feel up
for
some
a year or
alligators
some shit,
for a couple
Take
years.
ayahuasca.
Yeah, exactly. And our relationship was perfectly fine. It was short lived, but it was perfectly fine. But she, that's an example of something that she didn't expect to happen, as in, i.e., me. She didn't expect me to come out of the blue and for us to work out of nowhere, right? Man, like, but she couldn't overcome or see past the fact that she wouldn't be able to give this relationship all, and long distance London to Peru was not on. Yeah. So
you bought the excuse.
yeah. Yeah, and then she came back and got with someone else. No, fuck you, you bitch.
It's going to be another one of those.
Bruv, this is another episode where we've done relationship advice and Rich has slewed an ex.
Oh
bruv.
my god!
It's another one of them ones where the listeners are like, these men are hurt.
Yeah,
Who hurt you?
incel man.
Incel man. Don't fucking call me an insult. But yeah, no, that's why I asked, because I feel like sometimes.
So they fit that mold. So they got together when they were pre-25. So they fit that mold that you're talking about. They've broken up for a number of years, and now they're kind of a year older than us, kind of thing. Ran into each other, been speaking for a couple of weeks, and now like, oh.
But to be almost hypocritical or contradictory to what I just said, if the relationship really, really was a strong, deep, and what he wanted, what she wanted,
he wouldn't have dipped.
He wouldn't have dipped.
Exactly.
So to answer the question, does it ever make sense to go back? I liken it to like football managers returning to clubs that they used to manage, or football players returning to teams where they used to play.
Okay.
It never works out a second time.
Ooh, I'm not sure.
Never or rarely?
I mean, I'm going to say never just to be sensationalist.
I like that.
But it's probably more rarely.
But I like the never. I like the never. What do you reckon, Mr. Vieira?
I'm going to say Zidane went back to Madrid and won plenty trophies, and so did Jose going back to Chelsea, won the league. So I'm not sure that really works.
So you think our mate has a chance to win the league?
Different.
I think
he has the chance to win the league of life.
I think he's certainly looking at a League Cup.
That's not the league, though.
It's more than Tottenham have ever won. So what I will say is this never go back to your ex thing, I think is unnecessarily arbitrary.
Okay.
And especially in a context where they were young.
Okay.
And they've been apart for a long time, and they're now very different people.
Yes.
Neither side of that relationship are the same entity they were when they either got in or left.
Do you think they're that much different? Do you think people fundamentally change that much?
I think as you leave your mid-20s and go into your 30s, those are 5 very important years. I'm certainly not the same person I was when I was 23. Mm-hmm. And you're certainly not the same person you were in your mid to late 20s. Mm-hmm.
We've known each other for 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't think you've changed that much.
Shots.
And no. Pause. Of course. I feel the same way about myself as well, right? Of course, things change around the sides, right? Your perspectives, and but fundamentally, do people change that much?
But that you're not. I don't think there needs to be a fundamental change. I don't think.
So then, does it make sense to go back if there isn't a fundamental change?
Well, it does, because Jose didn't become an attractive manager the second time he went back to Chelsea, and Zidane didn't suddenly become a tactician when he went back to Madrid, right?
I think let's leave the football out of it.
Those are some hollow Champions League wins, by the way. But let's carry on.
The point is that there doesn't need to be a fundamental change. Actually, what is important is some of the externalities in a relationship. I.e., when we were in our mid-20s, when whatever. When
Stop
you were
saying a name, because we're gonna have to
keep beeping it out. Fine, but when everything might have been good, but she wanted to go to Peru. Okay, so if she was the same fundamental person and came back from traveling and no longer wanted to go to Peru, then it might have worked out.
Maybe.
Right.
All right.
So
Let me edit this. Let me edit this debate. Let me edit this debate. We're talking about, does it work out when you've broken up, right? Not because of logistical issues.
True.
Of like, oh, we're not going to be in the same spot. Our time zones are going to be different.
Or if there was no actual reason to break up other than just breaking
the
up.
relationship.
Yeah,
exactly. The only reason you've broken up is because of the relationship. It's not because she's had to move, you've had to move.
That's a good point.
So just think about it from that perspective, right?
That's important.
So my guy's broken up with his missus at that time because there was something in the relationship, or with her or with himself, that he wasn't happy with, right? Then fast forward 8-9 years or 6-7 years, and now they run into each other, and there's all this talk of doesn't ever make sense to go back to the exes. That's basically the accepted position, or the expected position. Yeah. So is that true? Is basically what we're trying to debate.
No, I don't think it's true. But we also don't know why they broke up.
We don't know why
it could have been someone was caught looking away, if not playing away. One of them got strained with being more financially responsible than the other. It could have been that someone had a difficult mum or difficult dad who's now dead, so it's not really a problem anymore. We just
I said that about the racists.
Yeah, as you said, the good thing about old racists is that they eventually die, right? So we just got no idea why they broke up.
Yeah.
I think actually in 8-9 years people do fundamentally change.
Okay.
I think sure, the nature of our relationship is the same because we're boys. I think I'm a different person. I'm not the same person I was when I was 18 when I met you. I don't think you're the same. I don't think you're the same person.
I'm saying.
Sure, I think you changed.
Yeah, I think the spirit and the soul is always the same. The interest,
it's just maturity. Who Johnny is as a person hasn't changed.
That's what I mean.
Because he still has the same values that he had then, but it's just more refined. We all get more refined as we get older.
Okay.
And I think people,
refined in our brilliance or refined in our fuckery, but there's always a refine.
But when you end a relationship, it's generally probably not because of the things around the edges, right?
Yeah.
It's not, because if it's only something that requires a refinement, then fine, you can refine that together.
So you think it must have been something?
I think there must have been something more fundamental that ended this relationship.
I agree.
I disagree. I think when you really break up with someone, I think that it's not necessarily, okay, it happens. It's not necessarily the person that you're pulling away from.
Okay.
It's the relationship itself. You don't like the situation that you're in with that person. That's why you decide to end your relationship with them.
But you're pulling away from the person.
No, you're pulling away from the relationship. You're pulling away from sticking with them.
It's a semantic thing.
Because you're pulling, you're getting, because
that person's no longer in your life.
I've broken up with exes who are very nice people.
Yeah.
And they're very attractive and they're very nice and very personable. I just didn't particularly enjoy, I didn't feel the need to be burdened with a responsibility to them at that time. And so I pulled myself away from the situation.
But kept in contact with them.
But there's differing degrees.
That's what I'm saying.
Come on, join me. Say F your ex. Come on, join me. Come on.
I think it's entirely reasonable to still want to fuck your ex. And
no, I meant say fuck that person. Like I said, fuck
no.
my
We're not doing that.
Okay.
But I think it's it's an unnecessarily arbitrary rule that to pretend that you can't go back and that it won't work another time, etc., etc. People break up for bad reasons. People break up for the wrong reasons.
That's also
people
fair.
have bad breakups that didn't make sense and they shouldn't have done it in the first place. And I think that if your man is, I think at least if your man's spending this much time talking to other people about it, it's worth a go.
Yeah, but he's a talker anyway.
What's your view?
I think, like I was saying before, like I was kind of alluding to, I don't think people fundamentally change that much, right? Like you guys were saying, of course, people change around the edges, and you have experiences that make you grow, and you travel, and you see the world, and different types of relationships and friendships, and rah. I get all of that. Of course, people develop, but fundamentally, I think people, once you've reached a certain age of 21, 22, 23, your first kind of defining experiences in life, I think fundamentally people don't change. So if the issues in the relationship were little things around the side, like Johnny was saying, like people breaking up for bad reasons and things, then it makes sense to potentially try again, right? But I don't think generally people break up long-term relationships. If you've been together for a couple of years over frivolous things.
Yeah, and then have that longer gap where you don't consider reconciling in.
Yeah.
That's a big part as well.
That's
right.
No, but I think that's normal.
Yeah, if you, I don't know though.
I think that's normal because it's like outside,
it almost implies
you all have different relationships.
Yeah, but
right?
it almost implies like 6 years, 7 years later, we tried to see what else is out there, realize there's nothing else really out there for us. And now we're speaking again.
Yeah.
See if there's a spark because it hasn't worked.
Well, it sounds like there is. So they spend all this time thinking about her.
Yeah, but that's happened.
But it's also fair. We don't know how much time.
You're always going to be attached to your ex in that way, right? Like
we also don't know how much time they spent thinking about each other when they weren't together. You don't know about that. But ultimately, normal life kicks in. Yeah. You go on, you date a couple of other chicks. She goes on, dates a couple of other bres, and then somehow, because you're still in London, you run into each other. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Anyway, that's my take. My take is fundamentally. You could be very
guilty in overthinking something like this. I'm more on the side of people typically break up for a reason. I don't think that those reasons typically go away when you decide to reconcile. I think that's in the rarity. But to Johnny's point, even if it isn't the rarity, it does happen. But I think generally speaking, when you leave something like that and there is such a huge gap in between where there isn't necessarily much contact, yes, the novelty of meeting your ex and she's glowed up, she looks great, she looks amazing, might make your pee-pee tingle a bit.
Exactly.
But the reality is that that's just a natural human emotion, and that doesn't necessarily translate to the tingle, yes. Yeah. That doesn't necessarily translate to a long-term reconciliation of a relationship that didn't work before.
I think people's wants and desires...
I concur with that.
I think people's wants and desires and priorities change over time.
Yeah, and that's fact as well.
I also endorse that message.
And I think that those are very important drivers of a relationship. And we don't know how they broke up. It's just a bit of a grey one.
What are you
this
telling
week.
my G to do? You telling him do it or don't do it?
Give it a
go date, see her again?
Give it a go. Yeah. The arbitrary rule, never go back to your ex, I think is bullshit.
I'd expand on that.
Yeah.
Brother, think about why you broke up with her in the first place. Think about that reason.
For sure.
And before you enter this relationship again, find out as early as you can if those reasons you broke up with her before are reasons you are likely to break up with her again.
So you're telling him to make a list?
However, yeah, maybe.
Make a
But,
list.
yeah.
Pros and
Good
cons.
things,
Yeah, nah,
and see if
but-
those good things are
yeah,
still there.
but you know-
because maybe the good things that you liked have been refined out of her.
Yeah,
right?
chances are she's probably developed a whole bunch of things that he hates now that she didn't have before as well. That's the
what I'm
flip
saying,
side. So yeah, like you really
So
have
make
to
a list.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right.
Also, what's her body count been in the period?
And
the
don't ask
meantime-
her. Do not, brother, bruv,
That's such a good question.
blood,
So,
Don't
Richard,
ask the question.
If it's been 6 years, what is an acceptable body count?
brother.
No, we're not doing that.
Once a week. Once a week. Once a week. Do your thing, baby.
Once a week for 6 years.
Do it.
Once a week for 6 years.
Do your
so
thing.
Who's going to do a quick maths on
That's
that?
300
That's
man.
52.
Who cares? Who cares? Do your thing, baby.
Yeah.
Just keep it clean, innit? Keep the pH levels nice. And
Jesus.
you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You ain't hurting nobody.
Yes.
Very good.
And you, Johnny?
We're moving on.
Yeah. That's a good place to cut. All right, live. Get your phones out. It's time for the quiz. Little disclaimer: we forgot the laptop today. Or I forgot.
Well,
the
say
laptop
we. That was a
today.
mad we. I just tried to throw
okay,
that.
all right, fine. I thought we were in this together, but I forgot my laptop.
I didn't
today.
say we when I decided not to press record that time.
Yeah.
I wasn't there though, but I would have backed the we. Just saying, if you did. Anyway, yeah. So we got the quiz.
Let's
I forgot
go.
the laptop. So this isn't the usually well thought out and structured quiz that the listenership has really begun to adore. So unfortunately,
but it still
this is
counts.
It still counts.
It still counts.
Definitely still counts. And it's
Look at his
currently
face. He's trying to cough it out already.
It's currently 3-1
I'm
to
definitely
Johnny
trying to like
Vivas.
admin my way out of a loss if I lose.
But what if you win?
If I win, then it's all good, isn't it?
This one's pretty much a geography-based one because it's impromptu. We just put it together. I just put it together in the last 5 minutes.
Very good.
You see, that's what you guys forced me to do. I was about to say we just put it together,
Yes.
and then I had to go back to the
Yeah.
singular, innit?
Yeah.
Just want to say shout out Miss Byrne, my geography teacher from secondary school. Hope I do you proud.
Inshallah. You
Inshallah.
man ready, yeah? All right.
Born ready.
Let's go again.
On the African continent, how many countries are there? This is all according to the UN, just FYI. So don't tell me no.
Sus.
The separatist group is now claiming. Don't want to hear that chat.
The China run UN.
You man done, yeah? Yeah, exactly. China funded.
Yes. United Nations.
Next question.
Well, hold on. What? Did you, oh, that was a question.
That's the question. How many
I thought it was-
countries in
how many-
Africa?
I thought how many countries on the African continent? Da-da-da-da-da.
No. Just how many countries? Done?
Ready.
I think so, yeah.
All right. Question.
Is it on the mainland or is it islands around?
I'm asking how many countries
Yes.
are in the continent of Africa? Now, whatever that number is, add it up to the next question, which is how many countries on the continent of Europe?
Ooh.
This is proper simple stuff that will surprise you. Done, Rich?
I'm going to say I am done.
Okay. Question number 3. To steer away from the geography, how many goals were scored in yesterday's football on Saturday? So the first full day of the Premier League, where I in my fantasy football thought there'd be a lot of clean sheets and decided to play 5 in the back. It was a goal fest. How many goals were scored yesterday, the first Saturday of the new season?
Very good. Moving on.
Wait, Rich is not ready.
Wait for what, bruv? Move on.
All right. Next.
That's rude.
How many countries are in Latin America?
Oh, for fuck's sake. I guess I can't really claim bias there. You did Africa, didn't you?
Exactly.
Latin
Had to be
America.
fair,
How
yeah.
many countries in Latin America?
Yeah, on the south
Well,
side,
oh,
South America.
South America.
I beg your
Okay.
pardon, South
I
America.
was about to say, fucking hell.
All right, it's not called that.
These are nuances I can't deal with.
South
alright,
America, yeah.
Alright,
I.e.
cool, cool, cool.
not Mexico.
Well, I don't know. I'm just asking in South
Well,
America.
Mexico
No,
is Central America.
Central
It's
America.
not
In the
South America.
continent of South America, how many countries has the UN classified exist?
Okay, very good.
And the final, fairly obvious question, given that we live in a time where we cannot discriminate,
Yes.
how many countries are there in Asia?
Oh, shit.
Does that include Central Asia?
In Asia, yeah, Asia as a whole.
Sweet, okay.
Boom. All right, boys and girls. So
Johnny's
those are your
closest to you.
5 questions. Johnny's the closest to me for the first time. Let me see a number,
I
Johnny.
need to add out. Probably.
Oh, for fuck. He does this every time. Use the calculator.
No, I like the way he does it because that way he knows the answers.
I don't care about the inputs. I care about the win.
All right, just show me your phone. It'll be quicker. Okay.
Just got to make sure I got the right number. Hold on.
I've seen Abiadi's, so when you are ready, Johnny, give us the number out loud.
I think I've got 144.
144. And Mr. Abiadi?
160.
160.
Let's go, baby.
We had very positive feedback from the last one that people preferred it. We're hearing answers as we go along. So that's what we're going to do again.
So that's why I do it my
Question
way.
number 1. How many countries in Africa? The grand answer, 54.
Fuck.
Oh, what?
Yeah, what did you guys get?
So I had 56 and I changed to 42.
56.
I was more than that, so I was 46, I think I put.
Not bad, not bad. Then in Europe,
I can't even remember what I put.
I think this is going to go. This could end terribly. 35. I went for.
not bad, 44.
I think I put 39.
Yeah, so 54 in Africa, 44 in Europe. Then we had the football question about yesterday, about Saturday, the first Saturday of the season.
I think I put 21.
Not bad.
15.
25 goals. Oh, trending in the right direction, Mr.
Trending in the right
Abiadi.
direction.
I'm nervous.
Then question number 4, was about South America, right?
Yeah.
The answer, you'll be
19.
surprised, is 14.
Ooh,
19.
I went for
19's
12.
not bad either.
12.
You were closer.
And-
Shit.
Finale,
It
the
comes down,
Asian continent. This is
comes-
the one that's going to throw man off.
comes down to this.
So who wants to give us an answer first?
I can't remember what I put.
Go on, what'd you go with,
I
Johnny?
went for 40.
Johnny, you're not doing too badly throughout this, yeah? The number is 48.
Okay.
The grand total comes out to 185.
Oh! The kid is back in the game. The kid is back. What is it, 4-2?
No,
3-2.
3-2.
Oh, Johnny, can you see me in your rear view?
Yes.
Can you see me in the rear view?
This was about whether you can create a Usain Bolt-like lead,
Brother.
Johnny,
Brother.
or whether
Miss
DeGrasse-
Byrne, I didn't let you down, baby.
Thank you, Miss Byrne, for that excellent education that you
Yeah,
received.
for real. You're
Shout
right.
out to all the
You're right.
teachers.
He's not said a word.
He's
No, it's
pissed.
fine. It's
red.
really
He's
it's the
redding
it's
up.
the that's sunburn. It's the giving of hope that makes victory sweeter
I
in
like
the end.
that. I
Yeah.
like that. So you're gonna win next week, basically.
Oh,
the next
absolutely.
pod.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Feels good to
Look
win.
at this fucking smile. on his
I-
face.
I
Yeah.
just- we
Shout
needed
out
it.
Miss
I've been
Byrne.
struggling. I've been struggling
It's
quietly.
not even an
What school did you go
equaliser.
to? Where was Miss Byrne? What school?
St. Thomas the Apostle College. Big up my
Yes.
Stack boys, South East London, baby. Pecknam. What? Yeah, I think that's it, man. Good episode. Thank you to everybody who continues to listen to us across all the streaming platforms. We love you. We do this for you. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. You know what to do when this drops. Like, share, comment, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a hoe. And we'll be here pretty in pink as ever, baby. Peace.
See ya.